Test 1, 2. All right, we should be good. Can you hear us online?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Thank you, Patrick, for the rescue. All right, so just for those online, quick recap, we called the meeting to order. We have Ann Zhang and Jeff Shriver here from CDOT, Mayor Rockingham representing the councils of mayors, and we have advisory members from IDOT, the RTA, and the counties with us. We did pass the approval of the minutes on a motion from Mayor Rockingham and a second from Ann. And so we are now on item number 4.01, the shared fund status update. So John, please resume.
All right, I'll take it back from the top here. So going to do a couple things with the shared fund. First, go over 2025 numbers, and then I'll talk about the 2026 mark, and finally provide an update on programming in 2026. So in 2025, total obligations for the shared fund were at $23,138,841, which was well below the $52,778,869 mark, which means that $24,768,397 was transferred to the redistribution fund. The reasoning was that a couple of the larger projects that we anticipated to go in 2025 did not get authorized in that year. So those were moved to 2026. They're targeting early 2026 lettings. So that should set up the shared fund for a strong year in 26, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But moving on to the mark here, the shared fund has a base mark of $31,843,901 in 2026. And in addition, it also has $4,871,631 in carryover from an obligation remainder that came from the North Aurora Road project, which brings the total federal fiscal year 2026 mark to $36,715,532. So how is that being programmed? Well, the LaSalle Street Bridge project is the first project that is anticipated to be to authorize funds in 2026. And at $44 million, it means that this one project will use the entire $36.7 million shared fund mark, with the remaining $7.3 million coming from the redistribution fund. And since this LaSalle Street project did not end up going in 25, that has resulted in us reprogramming what was originally in 2026 to plan use of redistribution. So there are a few other projects looking at early 2026 lettings. The Milos Meadows pedestrian bridge and the Green Bay Road reconstruction project are on target for the January 2026 letting, and the Sullivan Road project is on track for the February letting. So there's a number of projects queued up right now at the top of the year that should put the shared fund in a strong position. There are also a number of other changes staff anticipates to make to the program that is going to shuffle things around here, but that is really as a result of this being the first tip change period following carryover, where we weren't able to make certain types of changes. So we'll outline those changes at the December meeting. And then the last item here is the contingency program. We're still working on finalizing that list. There's a couple confirmations we're waiting on, but that should be finalized again at the December meeting. But for now, there is a list of those projects in your agenda packet if you want to take a look. But otherwise, that concludes the shared fund report. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Any questions for John on status of shared fund projects? All right, I'll let you move into the regional accounting update, John.
All right, so again, I'm going to give a quick 2025 overview of all STP programs in the region. There were a total of $275,458,000 obligations from all STP programs in 25, and this includes $82,791,644 coming from the redistribution fund. So there were 6 programs which used their entire mark and then dipped into the redistribution fund, which includes CDOT, North Shore, Northwest, Central, North Central, and Kane Kendall. The other 6 programs that did not use their mark sent a combined $43,746,884 to the redistribution fund. So after accounting for all transfers to and from the redistribution fund in 2025, it is decreased by 39 million, bringing it to roughly $118 million entering 2026. So that is a positive sign that the redistribution fund is declining rather than increasing. So good job to the councils that used some of those funds. And then looking to 2026, STP programs are beginning to add additional project phases in federal fiscal year 26 using planned use of redistribution, pending CMAP staff approval. So looking back at 2025, last year staff gave a fair amount of discretion to councils to program using against planned use of redistribution. This year, staff will be looking for a stronger demonstration that the project phase will actually be authorized in the federal fiscal year. So staff released guidance to programmers recently with that criteria, which sets thresholds for the earliest planned use of redistribution may be programmed for a phase based on target authorization dates. So for example, if I had a project targeting the July 2026 letting, the earliest I could program that phase using planned use of redistribution would be on the TIP amendment that closes December 5th. If you're looking at a closer letting date, say June or anything before that, we're allowing programmers to program that phase in planned use of redistribution right now. So that's just one example. The hope is that the project phases that are being programmed under planned use of redistribution are actually going to be using the funding in 2026. So with that, that concludes the regional accounting report. Again, happy to take questions if there are any.
Any questions from John on that approach? I do just want to say thank you to the councils, to CDOT for being aggressive with your programming in 2025. It's exciting to actually see the active program management working the way we intended, to allow those projects that are ready to go when they're ready, and allow those that are having a little bit of trouble implementing take a step back. So very exciting to see that we are eating into our balance and giving everybody the flexibility they need to implement these important projects. So again, thanks to everybody that was aggressive with their programming, and please pass that on to the project sponsors as well. So, all right, thank you, John. Next up on the agenda, Doug Ferguson has an update on next steps for the development of the federal fiscal year 2028 to 2032 shared fund program. Doug?
Good morning. So as we prepared for the next call for the STP shared fund, staff has begun reviewing the methodology used for evaluation and selection of the projects, and is putting together a list of potential changes that this committee could consider. They include, right now, the short list is resilience, equity, safety, household job impact. But we're also interested if there's other areas that you think we should be taking a look at as we prepare for the next call. So next call, we plan on opening it up in October of next year. The call would close sometime either late December, maybe early January. We're still playing around with the how we want to work it around the holidays. But with that, if there's any ideas that you have, feel free to share them now. Also, you can reach out to myself, Kama, with any ideas that you might have.
All right, thanks, Doug. Other than those that Doug mentioned, are there any other criteria that staff should be exploring to change, to add, to remove from our methodology? I feel like, we've gotten pretty comfortable with the methodology that we have, but there has been a lot of good planning work going on this year with the safety action plans, the transportation resilience plan, the TRIP plan. So we do want to try and capture that work in the criteria as we've done throughout the years, adding adding more refinement to those criteria. But if there's something that we're not picking up that we think we should, or changes or tweaks to any of the project types that we accept, let us know, and staff will prepare those for discussion over our next few meetings. Nothing today? All right. A happy committee makes happy staff. All right. Thank you, Doug. We'll look forward to starting those discussions in December. Next on our agenda is other business. I just wanted to say that staff is really excited to announce that we have transitioned to a upgraded platform for our ETIP database. So that is now online and available. It does allow not only staff, but also the public to dive a lot deeper into the projects that are in the TIP. There's a lot more search functions and filter functions, both for the public as well as for users that log into the secure site. So I would encourage everyone to check that out. And we are using that site for our calls for projects. We'll be using it for the shared fund, CMAC, and TAP starting next fall. But active right now are calls for local STP projects being conducted by the councils and CDOT. CDOT is not using ETIP, a couple others aren't, but about half of the councils are using ETIP for the call for projects. So those are open now through various dates in December. Each council sets its own end date. So information about those calls is available on CMAP's STP webpage, and that links then out to everybody's individual methodology. So I would encourage everybody, if you've got project ideas for those local calls, to get in touch with the appropriate council. Does anyone else have any other business that they would like to discuss with the committee? Seeing none. It is. It also makes me feel guilty for bringing everybody downtown, but it's good to get together regardless. So next up is public comment. Does anyone wish to make any public comment? Anyone online wish to make a public comment? If so, feel free to unmute. I don't see anyone. All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for December 4th, 2025. So in a few weeks. And then that kind of segues into it's that time of year where we start talking about next year's meeting calendar. So Doug will give us a little update on those dates.
Yes, so included in your meeting materials are proposed meeting dates for 2026. We are asking for your approval today with the understanding that these dates very well could change. Obviously, if meetings are not needed, staff will reach out and see if everybody's all right with postponing the meeting or canceling the meeting. Also understand that we are working on some ideas around like being able to have some workshops versus meetings, but that's still something that we're working through with Open Meetings Act requirements and this committee. So we're hoping that like if there's no substantive things that need to have a vote, that we could have a workshop that could be hosted online, and so people wouldn't have to travel here to our offices for those. But with that, I would ask for your approval of these meeting dates.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the 2026 meeting calendar? Jeff?
Second.
Mayor Rockingham is a second. All those in favor? And no one's opposed. So we will set this as our official meeting calendar for next year. And if we are able to work out a workshop schedule, we would bring that back for committee approval before we kick that off. So, all right, very good. Well, there being no other action for the committee, do I have a motion to adjourn? Mayor, second Ann. All right, this meeting is adjourned at 9:57 a.m. Thank you, everyone.